All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Taped Crusaders, the podcast that reviews every single adaptation of every single superhero ever made. I'm your co-host, Michael, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, and today we're taking a look at the 1970s TV movie pilot, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Woo, that's right. And we're also joined by returning guest, Champ Ian.
Oh my God, guys! Hey, yeah. I'm still Buck Rogered out right now.
But, however, when you watch the opening clip of this episode, you said it looked like something was up your alley. That was, you were excited to watch it.
Yeah, kinda. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. So, but first of all, I have to say, before you watched this episode, did you know anything about Buck Rogers?
I knew a little bit about Buck Rogers just by him being part of the cultural zeitgeist, and because we're all old as dirt. And also from Looney Tunes, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century.
The best
or
version
like
of Buck Rogers.
Yes. And that's not hyperbole, having seen this.
Yes. Okay. By the way, if I were to make a serious science fiction film with like a budget of $100 million, I would make it look exactly like Duck Dodgers, because the way they do like the floors in like the space station and the big eyeball and the special effects. Anyway, that's a whole other episode. Josh, did you know anything about Buck Rogers before this
Only
episode?
a little bit. I think, again, kind of just through the cultural zeitgeist, like just, he's pop culture icon. I don't think I've seen anything of him, though. Like,
Okay.
I've never seen an episode or even the old TV show or anything like that.
So, again, our policy is to do no research, so this is all from memory. But I will just say Buck Rogers started out as a pulp hero, okay, set in the future just like this show. And he was very influential. He was super popular. He became kind of like the, what's the word, like the byword? It's kind of like, how Kleenex, like, tissues, everyone calls tissues Kleenex.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers became like, oh, what are you, Buck Rogers? Like, before Star Trek and Star Wars, Buck Rogers was like the byword for sci-fi.
Yeah.
He was so popular that everything imitated him. And one of the things was Flash Gordon, which we'll be reviewing in a future episode. Flash Gordon became more popular because the art was better in Flash Gordon by Alex Draymond. But Buck Rogers was first in the comic strip. And I'm actually surprised this is the newest adaptation of Buck Rogers. I thought for sure there was something since then, but this was it. I mean, maybe after we review the episode, you'll find out why this was it. But you can see pieces of this in, obviously Star Wars, Superman, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So there are previous adaptations of Buck Rogers. There was a, what's it called, the serial in the 1930s, starring Buster Crabbe, who also starred as Flash Gordon in the 1930s serial.
Oh,
Flash
really?
Gordon, which heavily influenced Star Wars. So Buck Rogers.
I thought you said you didn't do any research.
Well, it's all this is from Lonely Nights at Home reading Wikipedia, folks. Okay, but basically, Buster Crabbe played both. Flash Gordon influenced Star Wars more, but you can see the influence of both of them. So now, 1977 Star Wars comes out. It's a smash hit. So a year or two goes by, and now everyone wants to do sci-fi. And so this is what we come up with. We come up with the Star Warsified version of Buck Rogers.
Right.
Okay? Now, Ian is our plot master.
I guess, yeah. I guess. I'm just the one that doesn't put up a fight when
basically.
when asked to do this particular part of the podcast.
So,
I'm too passive.
Can you tell us, actually, and Josh, just for the record, do you have any notes on the cast?
I've got like the Wikipedia open for the
do you want to
cast
just
and
tell our
everything.
listeners who the actors were before we jump into the plot?
Sure. So we have Gil Gerad
Can't stand him. Go ahead.
as Buck Rogers. We have Erin Gray as Wilma.
Lovely.
Tim O'Connor is Elias Hewer.
I don't remember that character.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
You know what?
character.
This might just be from this series.
Oh, okay.
Or just
Now that I'm
general.
thinking about
Yes,
it. So we have Pamela Hensley as Princess Ardala.
Also lovely. Yeah.
Michael and Sarah is Kane.
Who's that?
Kane
was like-
he's the guy that looked like Neil Breen.
Yeah.
The gray-haired-ish guy?
No, he was the
bad
princess's
guy.
suitor.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
the
Yeah.
the
Okay.
lackey.
Okay.
We've got who else? Mel Blanc voiced Tweaky.
Oh,
You
for
know-
Christ's
you know Mel
sake.
Blanc, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
His
Okay.
finest hour.
Yes.
And Felix Cilia did the costume work for him.
That'll be a separate category.
And Wilfred Hyde White was Dr. Goodfellow, the little robot disc on.
Doc.
I
Right?
know
Is
that
that-
name.
He was Doctor something else. It was Doctor.
Was it something else?
Oh, what was his name? Doctor something. He had a Greek sounding name. You know, if you open up the
Cephadias?
Wikipedia for the movie,
Yeah, let me see what I can find.
I think
here.
because the first episode was actually just a re-release of the movie with some edits.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should let our listeners know we're reviewing. What is the name of this episode? Has it-
Awakening. I
Awakening.
believe, yeah.
So this is 2 episodes of the show combined into a theatrical movie, released in the theater, and it actually made money.
a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah, $21 million.
That's a lot, but
Wow.
it is 79
A lot.
standards.
1979.
And with a $3 million budget as well.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And it was
Huh.
a made-for-TV series. So for it being what it was, something made for TV, and then having a limited theatrical release, it's pretty fantastic. Dr. Theopolis.
Dr.
Howard F.
Theopolis.
Flynn.
Yes.
Which
AKA
means-
Theo.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so we'll talk about the look and all that stuff later, but Champion, you're going to tell us the basic plot. What, 2 minutes? What do you think?
Yeah,
3?
I always say 2 minutes and it ends up being 12 minutes
Yeah.
because
Let's-
I just zone out.
Minute and a half. Minute and a half. What is the summary of the plot in a minute and a
All
half?
right. Well, we got Buck Rogers. He is a 70s space guy who goes on a mission, or whatever. He gets lost in space, frozen for 500 years. He is picked up by the Draconians, which is a large empire that the Earth is not a part of. And they are not sure if he's a spy or not. They use him to try to find a way through the Earth's defensive sphere. Now, the Draconians are ostensibly on a peace summit mission to Earth, but really they're there to attack secretly. So they send Buck Rogers to Earth, where he becomes the fish out of water. He doesn't know what's going on. They don't trust him either, so they interrogate him a little bit. He meets Dr. Theopolis and this little tweaked out robot, and he befriends them. He tries to figure out what his place in this world is, while also being the only person on the planet that doesn't trust the Draconians. He tries to warn them. He ends up trying to sort of seduce the princess when they come to Earth in order to drug her and find evidence that the Draconians are in fact armed. And he single-handedly destroys an entire fleet of their warships by sticking bombs in their engines. And he saves the day. Afterwards, he is basically hired by Earth as the only person that doesn't have everything he's ever done recorded, so he can sneak in anywhere and help sniff out all of the evil forces that are trying to destroy the Earth. That suddenly these people realize that, some people are out to get them, I guess.
Okay. Is that the end?
That's basically the end.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, not an awful lot happens in this movie for being almost 2 hours long.
So I'll just say this quickly. My capsule review is that I can forgive the plot. The plot was okay. It was kind of like the plot of Star Wars reshuffled, right? Like just, they go here, they go there, they have an adventure. No problem. I did not like Buck Rogers himself. I didn't like his dialogue. I didn't like the fact that he's 500 years out of time, but he seems to know more than anyone. He likes to break the rules and all that stuff. I didn't like that. I can forgive sexism, but this show was like the opening credits of the bad girl. It was a porn. It was an
it's
actual
a Bond
soft
opening.
It was
yeah.
it's
crazy.
ridiculous. And again, I can forgive it could have been a joke to be like he's sexist because he's 500 years in the past, but she's not. But it was kind of played in this weird way. Anyway, that's fine. The stupid robot. Again, the design looks okay. What was that sound? It looks okay. It looks okay.
It looks okay, but its head is a literal penis. But
That's a good point.
It's a cross between a penis and like a young child.
It's
almost.
it's not
weird.
great.
It's weird.
It's
No.
very unsettling. Every time that robot made a sound, ruined whatever was happening.
Right.
Beady, beady, beady. Constantly, over and over again. Somebody thought that was a good idea.
You know, I actually didn't mind the beady beady beady. What I hated was that it decided to speak English every once in a while and say like cool catchphrases like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
my balls are about to freeze.
No, you know, okay. Wait. Can I just
What?
point out this weird trope in 70s sci-fi? And it happened to Wonder Woman, where whenever you have a robot or a computer, like a artificial intelligence, they always are a smartass. It's every 70s sci-fi. They can't just be like, you'd think like the joke is, oh, well, it's a computer, so it's like Spock. It thinks literally, so maybe that's where the humor comes from. No, it's always like they make some smart ass comment, and then like the character laughs and the audience laughs and everybody laughs, but it's crap. It's always crap.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, they did pair up Tweaky with the Doctor, who was also a robot, and I'm assuming they were going for an R2-3PO feel, right? Where like the Doctor wasn't really making any quips, like he's very logical, and then
okay, let's just
Tweaky's like beeping and
for the audience
saying weird catchphrases.
We have a child size droid, like 3 foot tall, and then this droid is wearing
essentially a Flava Flav
necklace that is the other that's the Doctor.
Yeah, so it's full of blinking lights. It looks like it's built out of one of those round cookie tins.
Yes. So now, just to clarify, as far as I understood, whenever we hear the beep beep beep, the beep beep beep, whatever, that's the walking robot, and whenever it's talking, it's the Doctor. You're saying that sometimes it was
the
robot,
the android Tweaky would say catchphrases.
See,
in a gruff voice. You're talking a gruff voice like this.
I thought that was always the Doctor. Okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's still shit. But anyway,
yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, like I was saying, the plot I can forgive, but it's just the characterization was annoying to me. And even actually, speaking of the plot, why did he have to be picked up by the bad guys first? Okay, fine, I can see where it went, but to me, it would have been more mysterious to have him like wake up and kind of just discover things naturally. But it's like they did everything backwards. I felt like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's plausible that he would have been picked up by the ship on their way to Earth.
Sure.
Right.
They could have done anything, yeah. But
yeah, I think the problem was that they gave away that they were at Earth before he discovered it. So we as an audience knew that he was being sent back down to Earth and not some alien planet.
Right.
And I think that is it would have been interesting, like a Planet of the Apes type of twist, right? And it doesn't have to be the main point of the story, but maybe he's a little lost. He thinks it's a dream. He's on this alien planet, whatever. And then it dawns on him that he is on this alien planet, or this alien planet that he's on is actually Earth. 500 years in the future, his family is all gone. He goes to the gravesite and looks at the tombstone.
Which that scene really confused me.
Yeah, how do you know where they were?
Yeah, anyway. Because they were still alive when he left.
Right.
And it was 500 years earlier. Because using mathematics, if you think about how many grave sites that are on Earth right now, multiply that by 500 years times 8 billion.
And decaying of tombstones over 500 years.
Yeah, but it's just so strange though. He's like, I'm going to go to Anarchia. Oh, here's a street sign. I know where I am. Oh, this is where my parents are probably going to be buried.
Right.
2 minutes later.
And again, like I can forgive the, I guess, naivete of all that crap, but just the characterization was annoying. Like we've already talked about Buck Rogers. I don't know. Let's just lay down our opinions. What did you guys think of Buck Rogers? The actor who played Buck Rogers.
The actor was whatever. I think the characterization is what really suffers. I think that if Buck Rogers didn't act the way that he did, I I think we would hold this movie in a different light today. I think maybe it would be more of a cult classic and people would want to revisit it more. But I feel like he's just such an unlikable character for today's standards that it really what dragged the movie down for me, at least. Because I thought that the movie was very clever at points. Like, it's got this, like, Buck Rogers is not only a man out of time, but he doesn't really belong with the aliens or the humans. They both think that they're betraying him. These bad guys have this plot where they're pretending to be pirates to force the hands of the earth to like force them into this peace treaty as a protection, so that way they could take over. And they have all of this stuff where, like, this world building of Earth's been destroyed for so long, so they can't grow their own resources, so they have to rely on going to other planets and trading with them. So because these pirates are around, like, it's just, I feel like there was actual thought put into the idea and the story and how they're going to launch everything. And then it feels like, oh, well, we also need to make this a marketable TV show for kids.
Yes.
So we got to add the goofy robots. We got to make Buck a wisecracking dude that everybody's going to love. We have to have every single woman in this movie be half naked and just like walking around doing whatever. We'll have this really cool, sexy, jazzy James Bond opening. It's like, what was going on? So I also, now that we're kind of like briefly talking about that, apparently even when they were filming it, they were like, what is going on? The lights. So for viewers who haven't seen it, it's like this strange James Bond-esque opening. It has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't even really fit the theme of anything in the movie. And it's Buck Rogers asleep in this like black void with the logo of Buck Rogers illuminated off the ground as he's sleeping. All of these women in lingerie are like singing and like looking into the camera and like waking him up and, you know, making out with him for a bit before he falls back asleep. And then it's wild.
Things that absolutely did not happen in the
it's
episode.
crazy. But apparently too, even the set was like so hot that the actresses could only sit on the sign for so long because it would like burn them and stuff. It just doesn't even seem like, why would you do it?
So,
why?
Okay, so Ian, we haven't heard a lot from you yet, but I like the special effects.
Yeah.
Did you like anything about this show?
This episode, this film, whatever you want to call it, it was a study in opposites. There were so many things about it that were great in one part, but absolutely ridiculously horrible in another part. Josh, I agree. The world building was at times very good. And some of these things, like the setup, if they had executed it better, would have made for a very compelling story. But it was just like, it was sprinkled about so much nonsense that I had trouble picking up on it and putting it all together sometimes. When you sort of sit back and look at it, it's a clever concept, but executed very poorly. The acting, the characterization, Buck Rogers' character was mostly awful. Every once in a while, there was a scene that I'm thinking, like, if you stuck with this tone,
Sure,
you'd be fine, right? And you can do more interesting things with the fish out of water. Like I was kind of thinking of Demolition Man when I was watching this a little bit in terms of
good movie.
Great movie. And there were some things that they did that were similar, but it was a lot of I don't even know if it was so much Buck Rogers' character, but everyone around him that didn't really allow him to be the fish out of water that he could have been. But for every bad character, there was a great character. I think the character of Wilma, what's her last name?
Oh,
Starts with a C, I think.
Let me see.
The girl?
Yeah.
She was fine.
No, she was fantastic.
Wilma Deering.
Wilma Deering, yes. I think she was a very strong character. She wasn't overly sexualized, which was nice. I'd close my eyes and I got some Princess Leia out of her, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially in terms that, like, she seemed annoyed about everything that was going on, and that worked for her character. The princess, on the other hand, was just eye candy. And
Yes.
this brings me to the costumes, right? When you look at how she was dressed versus how Wilma Deering was dressed. I mean, they were both sexualized, but those flight suits that the humans were wearing they were form-fitting, but they were tasteful, right? Like it's not out of the realm of possibility that an official space program would be using something like that. What else? The music, the theme song is the worst theme song I think I've ever heard. But some of the incidental music was very well done. The special effects were very good. The model making was very well done.
Yes.
But the motion work was lacking. I think that, especially since this came after Star Wars, they could have looked at Star Wars just to see, like, this is how the physics of these things should look, right?
Yeah.
Like, it felt very slow.
Yeah, it was extremely slow. Like, all of the movements were weird. I think that visually they look fantastic. Even the sets and the models were great, which is partially due to Ralph McQuarrie doing the concept art for this movie or for this
Who
for
else
the
did
show.
Star Wars? Let's tell our
Yeah, and before this, Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
So, yeah, visually it looks great, but when it starts moving, it does have some small issues. I think the special effects of like explosions, the fire, even like when the king ends up showing up and there's like the hologram, he's like sitting in a chair and it looks like he's really there. And then when he ends the call, you see him like particle away essentially. It looked pretty good. Like for 70s or late 70s, early 80s TV budget effects, I thought it was great.
Well, that's the thing. Like, are you familiar with the 70s Battlestar Galactica?
I don't think that I am.
Because it's pretty bad, but the special effects are notoriously good. Like, it's post Star Wars. I think it's the same people.
Yeah,
I think.
I think Battlestar Galactica got canceled, so this could be made.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, but you know, there's different stages. There's like who designed the special effects, who filmed them, but then who's the director, who's the editor. So it's kind of like all these chains. Like, where's the weak link? Like, was it the editor who didn't cut away in time? Was it the director who didn't use them properly? But yeah, the actual like mechanics of the special effects are fine, right? There's some weird colors in this film where it almost looks like, were they trying to be a comic book or was it just garish and ugly? Like a green, there'd be like a green pillar and like a red floor and like a weird light and like, okay, fine, I can forgive it. It's the 70s, you know. But the one thing that's pure 70s I want to talk about, this is the scene, because I saw this when I was a kid, like this episode, and I remember it happening. When Buck Rogers, they start doing this weird dance.
Oh my!
And I'm like, okay, this is cool. They're doing like, I'm gonna see how they dance 500 years in the future. And then Buck Rogers is getting bored, and he goes over to the piano player or whatever he is, and he goes,
DJ or whatever. Yeah.
DJ. He goes, can you do like, I think he calls it rock.
He does call it rock.
He uses the word rock. And the guy's like, you know, like dun dun dun, and the guy like plays something. He's like, no, not like that, more like this. And he's like, dun, and he does it. And then somehow the DJ in the year 27 whatever magically just sequences this
disco.
He invents
like this super complicated disco beat, and everyone just instinctively knows exactly how to dance.
I love that he's like, yeah, this is rock and roll.
This is not, I'm like, what? Who wrote this? Yeah, it's not rock and roll, but it's. I'm like, this is insanity. Yeah, like what was that? Like,
Buck Rogers has given him exactly 8 words of instruction.
Yeah, exactly.
Create a genre of music that you've never heard before. 8 words. Yep, you got it.
You got it. Yeah. Oh, that was the best scene in the movie. But again, like in the midst of all this kind of mediocre television, that scene was the one scene where I was like, this is kind of weirdly cool. Like, you're seeing this, like, you know, dancing in sequence, whether or not it was great or not, at least it was I feel like it was trying this hard to do something weird and different. There should have been more of that. Like, this is 500 years in the future. Okay, of course the spaceships are better, but what else is different?
Yeah, where's the 3 seashells?
What's that?
Demolition Man.
Oh, okay. If you haven't seen Demolition Man, it's a good movie.
Yeah, okay.
Is that the one where the only fast food place left on Earth is Taco Bell?
Depending on what region you're seeing the film in. It's either
right.
Taco Bell or Pizza Hut.
I have.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They changed it? How's that?
I don't know if they couldn't get the rights in some
Interesting.
regions or something like that, but actually if you watch a copy of the film from a region where they've overdubbed Pizza Hut, you can still see Taco Bell branding on the windows.
Amazing.
It's interesting.
And you haven't seen this film?
You know what? I have.
It's
Now
a
that
great
you mentioned
movie,
that,
yeah.
I've definitely seen it.
It's great.
Yeah.
I watched it during COVID. Anyway, okay, back to Buck Rogers. So what else is there to talk about this film that we haven't talked about? We talked about the effects. We talked about the special effects. What about like going out to the city and it's like it's New York, but it's not New York. It's like a set, and those sand people.
That was such a weird scene.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're setting that up for something later on in the show, right?
Okay,
because
so I did some research.
Okay.
After this pilot episode, they ditched the whole idea of a crazy outer world.
Anarchia.
Yeah, they ditched those characters, and basically, apparently, whenever they leave the city, everything's perfectly normal. It's like a utopia. So they actually changed the tone of everything in the regular series. They also made, we were commenting on how much we like the princess or whatever she, not princess.
The Colonel Deering.
Wilma, whatever it is. Apparently, they made her more subservient, and because apparently the actor complained, "Oh, she's stealing, the attention away from me." So
because she's such a good actor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's unfortunate. 'Cause that's the one complaint that I had about her characterization is when she suddenly, "Oh, Buck Rogers, I want to be your friend. Let's make out," and then she's insanely jealous of the princess when it disappears. And, I know where he is. He's over there.
What about the part where this is another part where defining scene where I hated Buck Rogers when he's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to go explore the city," and she's like, "Well, you're under arrest for suspicion, so you're not allowed to explore. Try and stop me." And she pulls out her gun, and then she just doesn't shoot him. Okay,
He's too pretty.
Okay. Bad. Okay, first of all, he's an idiot. She is written badly. Like that scene killed me. Like, get out of here.
Well, it's not even that it's like her. It's like they wrote it so Buck Rogers is irresistible to anybody he crosses paths with.
He just charm his way into anyone's pants.
And it's not like that's not what makes Han Solo charming. It's not he's just some dreamy guy.
Right.
It's his attitude. It's how he doesn't really care about what's going on.
Yes.
It's so much more. Same way as like Buck Rogers having a bunch of like quippy catchphrases.
No.
Is not Luke Skywalker either. It's like they don't really know quite what they want. It's almost like they're making an action figure of Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. You know what I mean? Like they're taking the action figure, like this marketable thing with these catchphrases and all the gadgets and whatnot, and like this symbol of what a hero is to all these kids, and like, okay, let's make him that.
So they're going backwards with it. They should be starting over here and working this way, but they're starting from where they want to get to, and they're working backwards. And they're missing the point.
I was actually thinking that, especially when him and the robot were in that wild New York City set, and it was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of them," and he just beats up everybody. Like he takes on like 5 guys, and I'm thinking, no, the appeal of Han Solo, as well as Indiana Jones, both played by Harrison Ford,
of course,
is that the appeal of him is that he's in over his head, but he still manages to kind of like, pull through, like
grace under pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not that he's not Bruce Lee, he's not Batman, he's just a regular guy, but he's got that spirit. And with this they just completely missed that, and they just made him I don't know.
And nothing really goes Han Solo's way the whole thing, right? Like he's trying to distract the guards and they don't buy it, so he's got to just blast the machine, or there's always something going on wrong with the Falcon. They're fixing it or doing shit on the move. It's not. He's not just like this perfect hero.
Well, exactly, and I mean
he's not a hero at all.
That
really,
is exactly why Han Solo is so cool and Buck Rogers is not, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. So this show lasted 2 seasons, I believe.
Okay.
We haven't seen Buck Rogers since.
No. Which is interesting because in the hands of a competent writer, and a
I think this could
director.
be great.
Oh, it could be great.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's sewn into the fabric of the lore,
Right.
of what makes futurism.
Yeah, I think too. You can keep Buck Rogers as kind of this swashbuckling, cocky guy, but if you bring him into the future and you make some aspects about him correct and some not, I think it would work. So you could have him in the future not really know how anything works. He is this fish out of water and he thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't. But there's also things that people from the future can learn from the past. Just kind of like, which is kind of what they were trying to do with the autopilot on the jets, right?
Yeah,
But he was right about everything else before that. So it's like, why would they even doubt him at that moment? You know? So it was almost done right.
You know where that formula worked? In a TV show called Perfect Strangers, where Balky came from a backward island in the Mediterranean, and the joke was Larry always knew better than him, but in the end, Balky kind of knew better. Right? So you kind of do it that way. You kind of go like, well, yes, he's backward. He's 500 years behind, but maybe he can teach him something about whatever. And that could have worked, right? But yeah, they just threw that out the window. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about, we talked about the ships, we talked about the special effects. What about the look of, like, remember when he's locked up in the prison? And did we like the look of the inside of the ships, or was it too much? Was it ugly? What do you think, Ian?
You know, I'm having a bit of a hard time visualizing it.
Okay.
Which it means to me that it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Right? It was just, I don't know. I think it was just typical 70s.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think the weirdness too comes from it being from the 70s, and it's the 70s view of what like cool future is.
Yes.
So it has a 70s vibe, but is also trying to be futuristic. And I think
you know what?
That's what kind of dates it.
You know what did really bother me about the sets was his goddamn bed. When he went to sleep on that clear plastic
giant sign that said Buck Rogers.
No.
Yeah.
It was like a giant like a vinyl air mattress.
Oh, I don't know why I'm
I don't remember
remembering
that. How do I not remember this?
It was. Remember when the robot tells him, okay, just here's your bed. Just say I want to go to sleep, and then this thing comes out.
Oh,
and he lays down on it, and it's just this clear vinyl, and it's squeaky, and it just got my back up. Like I couldn't imagine sleeping on this, especially completely fully dressed like he did.
See, it's funny because I was born in '76. I have nostalgia for this era of science fiction, but other than Star Wars, like I went through this phase. For example, I worked at Blockbuster in like the late '90s, early 2000s, and I went through this phase where I'm like, I'm gonna watch all these imitation Star Wars movies. Like I'm gonna watch, was it Chud? Was that one?
Chud. I don't. I've heard that word.
No, you know what? Maybe Chud is not the word I'm looking for. But I watched all these weird.
Wait, no, Chuds were like the subterranean.
Yeah, what am I thinking of? Okay, there's a movie where there's like it's like a perfect mixture of like medieval, like knights in a castle and magic, but also space travel, and I can't remember what it's called.
Ooh.
Well, I'll think of it later. I bought it on Blu-ray, watched half of it. It's garbage. All those movies, all of them. Okay, there's one, Enemy Mine. That was pretty good. Lou Gossett Jr. and I can't remember the other actor, but like some of them are good, but like 2%.
So I've always got a soft spot for Last Starfighter.
That's a good movie. Have you seen Last Starfighter,
No.
Josh?
Oh, Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
As we were talking about Buck Rogers, I was thinking we got to do Last Starfighter one day. It's a good sci-fi, like kids movie.
I've seen that one so many times that if you have me on for that podcast, I will recite the script as my synopsis. Do it in under 90 minutes if I can.
And by the way, okay, this has nothing to do with Buck Rogers. What time is it, Josh?
7:18.
7:18. We got one more. We got a couple minutes left. Just out of curiosity, this has nothing to do with Buck Rogers. In the overall echelon of films made in the 20th century, where do you rate Ghostbusters?
Single digits. It's single digits. It's top 10.
Okay. It's great.
Ghostbusters. I watched Ghostbusters. I watch Ghostbusters a couple times a year. I watched it last week. It's as close to a perfect movie.
Oh, thank you! I got into a screaming match with someone who we kind of both know, and I won't say who his name is.
We're talking about the original Ghostbusters, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, we're talking about the Melissa McCarthy.
no.
What are you talking about?
Also a good movie.
Yeah, I
But we're
watch that every couple.
No, but we're talking about the original. But I got into a screaming match with Marshall Svoshin and this
Hey,
other
Marshall.
guy, Greg Shinkowski. Greg Shinkowski, is that his name? And this, maybe I'll cut this out. But he was like,
No, leave it.
This is great.
This is exactly. He was like, Ghostbusters. What? I saw that once, and you think it's a great movie? I Shawn Michaeled him into oblivion. I'm like, I kicked him in the face. Are you fucking? Do I have to explain this to you? The Ghostbusters is a great movie. Are you kidding me? And so then Marshall tried to justify it by saying, "Oh, well, Michael's one of those people that thinks everything is great." I'm like,
Have you heard the podcast?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I'm like, I give negative reviews to everything.
I can't
like,
remember the last time we talked about something that we did like.
Exactly. Like,
It's
are you
been a
kidding
while.
me? Anyway, Ghostbusters is a masterpiece. I actually, and by the way, the other movie was. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I'm wondering how we got here.
I don't remember. I just jumped. I just gotta say there was one other '80s comedy drama that Gerad mentioned as what is considered. Tarantino considers it a perfect film. Can you guess what it is?
No.
Tarantino.
Let me give you a hint. 1980s comedy drama. It made a ton of money. Think of one of the most popular comedy drama sci-fis from the 80s that came out in 1985 that's perfect.
These questions make me very anxious.
Perfect.
I feel knowing
perfect plot.
Tarantino, I feel like it's gonna be like Pee-wee's Big Adventure or something.
No, it's not. That
A
is
masterpiece.
That is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you talk about box office, it's right at the top. Like, think about 80s sci-fi comedy.
That isn't Ghostbusters.
Okay, can I give you a hint?
Yes.
Time travel.
Oh, Back to the
Back to the
Future.
Future.
Back to the
Yeah.
Future.
Yes. Another nearly perfect film.
Yeah, I agree. The plot is perfect. The humor, it's not perfect, but it's close to perfect. I love it. Anyway, some movies are just perfect, right?
Yeah.
Buck Rogers, not one of them.
No.
Unfortunately, not.
Okay.
Beep.
Yeah, so I guess the next question, the final question is, Champ Ian, are you going to watch more Buck Rogers after this?
I mean, no, unless they do something good with it in the future.
Sure.
This was, I don't know. It was campy and fun in an embarrassing kind of way, but not in the way that, like, I felt myself getting angry as I sat and watched it. Because I just gotten home from work and I'm like, oh God, I got this podcast tomorrow and it's 2:30 in the morning. Pop on Buck Rogers and sit here and I'm getting bored with it. And then I check how much time left. Oh, an hour and 15 minutes is left. Okay, all right.
I hear you.
So
I
just
hear you.
grinding through.
Yep.
And no, there was one or two good things about it, one or two good characters, but at the end of the day, no, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Josh, are you going to watch more Buck Rogers?
No, I'll watch the anime style Netflix animated reboot when it comes out, if it comes out, a la like Voltron when they did that. No, this was not great. I did have fun watching it. It might be fun watching it with friends.
Sure, I agree with that.
Like have a couple drinks. There is some charm to it, and there are some really great things I think about the movie, but as a whole, it's not good enough for me to keep looking for more.
Having some drinks and watching it with friends, though, that'd be an interesting. Have the tweaky drinking game.
Right, yeah.
Every time he goes, beady, you gotta do a shot.
There you go.
Love it.
Okay, so there you go, folks. Buck Rogers. If you're going to watch this, tread carefully, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? In our next episode, we're going to be reviewing none other than Flash Gordon.
Very
The
excited.
big budget theatrical film of Flash Gordon featuring a soundtrack by Queen.
Interesting.
So that should be fun, and I believe the champion is invited, so feel free to join
I
us.
appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
All right. Okay, there you go, folks. Join us next time on Taped Crusaders. See you later.